Welcome to the spoiler video.
Welcome to the spoiler video. The full discussion, where we'll probably say things we already said a little bit in the regular one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you should watch that one first if you're watching either of these. You should watch them together.
Don't worry, we'll have the separate videos, and then we'll make the Shin Stray review video of them
course.
Shoved together.
I don't want to see Shin Stray. That's not the game. That's the game I thought it was going to turn into by the end, and then it didn't. It kind of petered out. So I guess because we already went through the non-spoiler stuff, it doesn't need to be sequenced as well. We can kind of just jump around.
Give our thoughts about it.
Because Control... I mean, the non-spoiler review basically has all the stuff we talk about as, like, gameplay mechanics and everything. And the qualitative or the quantitative assessment of the game, pretty much. Which is, like, length and value and everything. And it matches all those things. The reason it's not a 10 or a 9 is basically this video.
Yeah.
But then we'll also spend most of it gushing about specific details that were excellent. Yeah. But the general topics like gameplay, music, stuff like that is covered in the first part.
So I'd like to start by discussing how great of a cat game it is.
Yeah.
And all the shit
and
you
the
can
effect
do.
it has on cats.
Yes. Oh my god. So, I wish we had a cat in the house to see how it would fuck them up.
Yes.
To hear all the yelling.
Especially my cat Lloyd that looks fucking very similar to that fucking stray cat. I do not need stray Steam mod that makes it look like my cat. Request.
Whew. So fucking...
One of my notes is reacting to cat noises goes both ways. It destroys real cats' brains. And also, when I was playing on the DualSense, I heard it meow through the thing, and I was like, "Where's Lloyd?" I was like, "Where's my cat?
What's
my
happening?
Cat's not here." So I didn't expect to get fucking got like that.
Oh yeah. So fucking...
But the stories are real.
You want to play basketball as a cat?
Yes.
You want to play pool as a cat?
Basketball?
Based?
Based.
Holy shit.
Based.
What
would you say? What would you say this game's animations are based on?
Cats.
Okay, all cats.
All conglomerate.
The conglomeration of all the single brain-celled organisms.
Yes.
Because the first scene is the most, like, they never do stuff that I was wowed by to that degree again, but the first scene is the most, like, they mocapped a horse, like Onimusha thing, but it's like they mocapped this fucking cat.
They do some
the interactions
cat
with the fucking little wackies.
Where you stand up and fucking bat at each other.
The first 3 chapters are the most, like, cat animation porn.
Yep.
That is not animated cat porn. That's very different.
This
like
mod makes your cat naked.
Fuck.
The hairless cat mod.
That's lewd. But like him, or just your cat, I guess. Just playing with the other cats at the beginning is the most like that's cats.
It made me so happy.
And then you get the backpack and it's like that's a cat. Yeah. The way he's like uncomfortable in his own skin.
I put harnesses on my cats and they act the same way.
Yeah.
Like they fucking.
And then you hang them from the ceiling and then they learn how to
put them on the ceiling fan.
And I think that... Oh, and then when you first meet B12, and we had just seen a cat swat a drone out of the air.
Yep.
And it was identical.
Yep.
It was like the arched back, like, single paw tap that takes the thing down.
Oh, yeah.
Like that... It's perfect.
Perfect.
And then they never... They don't need to, because that's really just to get you in the feeling of it. But it definitely feels like from there on it is... It's pretty, like, normal.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, this is a positive negative to their attention to cats. Boy, when that cat is hurt, that hurts.
That cat hurt. He limps. He meows shrilly.
And you're like,
no. It hurts.
Please stop.
It hurts me. It's a bad time.
Yeah.
The game makes me feel things. That means it's good.
Yes, inherently.
Yep. You want to... Going back to, or continuing the lines of cat, paper bag cat?
Fuck.
Paper bag cat?
Dude.
Chapter 4 is pretty based.
That's one of the best, like... That goes with, like, the you can do anything you think you should be able to do as a cat. Mm-hmm. So you look, but then that's like and then some.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at you look at bags and buckets, and I was like, oh, you got to be able to put those on your head.
Yeah.
And then chapter 4, you put a paper bag on your head, and you were like, oh shit, and then you go, oh shit, because it reverses your controls and adds like wiggly controls,
like waves to you.
So that
once you figure it out, you still can't move, right?
Yeah, and it's just like fuck. That was a level of attention they didn't need to.
Chapter 4.
That's the main thing with this game. They didn't need to go this hard.
They could have coasted off this game being you're a cat. Yeah. But they made a fucking video game
with a story and a world that is interesting
plot,
that I want a sequel to.
Yeah. Like a 2-player fucking like A Way Out.
Yeah.
It Takes Two kind of game.
Or more open environments, like one of the things we'll talk about more. But like solving puzzles together would be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, puzzles.
Potch notes.
Potch notes. So that's just a tiny detail that it's like I really like these devs. They've made a really good first impression.
Yeah.
Blue 12 Studios.
Yep. First game really fucking
Mostly
strong out the gate.
Mostly cats.
I felt betrayed when I saw in their credits they had
dogs.
Fucking dogs.
Were there babies? Were there studio babies?
Yeah.
Those are probably studio baby cats. I'm using I assume.
Probably. There weren't like gross. Parentheses that said kitten. But
damn it. Yeah. But for a first thing, I don't know how if they've come from other things or if they all like pretty new developers.
I think they just like cats.
But as a small new studio, boy,
what's the fucking
that's
like
a starter?
Like staff call for that is like, do you like making video games?
No,
do you like cats?
It's what I described fucking harmonics, where it's like, oh, they're all musicians.
Yeah.
They make music games. They're kind of fucking. It's the typecasting of video games.
Yeah.
Is like, you like cats, so you work at Blue 12.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's a really fucking good debut from a small team.
It's wonderful.
You can really tell their passion for like video games and cats.
Yep.
In like every part of the game. It all
shines through.
Including the fucking patch notes, which they call potch notes, which was the first thing we saw of the game. Because I always check notes and settings and everything. And to be rewarded with that, with potch notes, where they re-meowed some meows and fucking fixed some animations and stuff. Yeah.
Naughty kitty.
Naughty kitty, yeah. Like, that's a perfect thing of, like, if this was a soulless fucking Untitled Goose Game, like, meme game of, like, this could have been a game jam.
Yeah.
You'd be able to tell the cynicism.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's so fucking good in all those ways that it really hits close to home.
Yeah.
And you really can relax and appreciate like everything the game is throwing at you.
Totally.
Visually, auditorily, like gameplay wise. Mm-hmm. It is a video game in the best sense of that it is not video gamey. It's not stupid fucking just focus on the game, that's the only thing that's good.
Yeah.
Like people think fucking DMC is. Like everything is working together in a way that only this medium can.
Yes.
This would make a good adapted like animated movie. Yeah. It would still be very good.
Totally.
But the fact that you can play it and you can explore those environments of your own will at your own pace, there are fucking side quests. There's like it is an immersive sim type game.
I was
at
shocked
some points.
Getting to chapter 4 and seeing side quests, items, a fucking merchant.
Yeah.
All of there's like 25 NPCs or something.
It feels
in that
like
town.
they studied Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Or like Prey or any of those choose your like play style immersive sim type games. And that's another thing where I didn't want to bring it up, at least in the fucking
the first video,
the non-spoiler one, is that you look at things and you can tell what you want to do, but you also look at things and you are unconsciously noticing patterns, like the fucking outsider symbol being like, here's the main story points, here's the buildings you can go into, here's like this is an implication of something. And they keep that even to Midtown, which is not nearly as good as Chapter 4.
No.
But there is an outsider logo that you go in an alleyway. There's an outsider logo. You climb it and you get a badge.
Yep.
Like, it's very rewarding. Some more, like, details about gameplay stuff, I guess, are, like, the auto camera is really cool. Yes. Like, you unconsciously, it just works.
It's a very cinematic experience most of the time. Like, it plays very nicely.
It plays very nicely either when you are in full 3D environments where you have control of the camera, or when you are tight alleyways and the camera is controlled for you and you are just choosing where you move. I think one of the small issues with that is there's the concept of chain jumping, which is you hold the X button instead.
Yeah.
I felt that to be... It's a good and a bad in that I had problems with it, but once you realize what the problem is, the environment is so well designed that you know, like, oh, this is better for chain jumping. This is better to
most of the
point
time
and click.
It's they have to present you something that you're like, oh,
this
is a chain jump
It's
section.
the equivalent of fucking Mario running. He can cross one block.
Yeah.
Blocks.
Yes.
But you can do it for everything. I found it better, like climbing and traversing, more puzzle-y, like climbing, was to like look at each thing you're doing and just tap, rather than hold. It would usually, as you're walking to an edge, it would usually prioritize going down instead of up.
Any issue that can be had with chain jumping, in my mind, is immediately resolved by the train station section.
I did that. Yeah,
you did that? There's a bunch of red chairs.
Because you told me about it, and I was like,
lined up on the wall of this train station.
You fucked me out of my speedrun trophy.
You can just fucking chain jump over these chairs, and you do fucking like parabola arc jumps between them, and it's wonderful.
You look like a scared cat.
Yeah.
Like the fucking black cat with the
arched back.
Oh
yeah.
You look like that, but gracefully jumping 3 inches.
It's wonderful.
It's fucking great. And then some of the most fun creative stuff that they introduced really early. The fucking rolling in barrels and the spinny signpost thingies.
Yep. Oh, those are great.
Those are so fun.
Between
I've never seen that.
It's so smart.
It's just a pivot version of a swing platform that'd be in like Zelda.
It's such good like visual language that you see it and you immediately are like, I know what I must do.
Yeah.
Like jumping back and forth to change its angle. And it's wonderful.
And the barrels is the fucking cat equivalent of box puzzles.
Yep.
Like even
which
to the point
game
where
also has.
Yes.
The fucking boxes that follow you.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Oh, that's another thing. The fucking the other type of box puzzles, which they only do in Chapter 4, but it's a really cool thing that you naturally do, is jumping on something and then jumping off of it. You kick it and knock it down.
Yep.
Like a fucking cat.
Yep.
But you do that in one sequence and you notice you do it. Because they block off a sequence, so you have to do it, you have to notice it. And then naturally, most people are going to go to a different sequence later. You could do first, but it's unlikely. Where you are looking for an item.
Yep.
It is in a box. There are towers of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
You jump to the top of the tower, you jump off. And it topples them.
Yep.
And you find what you're looking for inside. And that's barely a puzzle, but it feels great.
It puts that worm in your brain where you're like, oh.
That you're like, I need to knock out. Yeah, I need to knock everything down. It's like you don't even realize the game elements of it. You're just like, I'm a cat. I have these objectives.
No shit, why wouldn't you?
Time to fuck around.
Yeah.
The dainty paw pushing of paint buckets and shit.
I love the ones where it makes you like you have to decide to do the second push.
Yes.
It's like I've made the decision to ruin this person's life.
I'm going to end this.
Knocking the paint bucket through the fucking like glass skylight in the beginning.
Yeah.
Is like
it's so early that
I've committed.
So this was something, I don't know if you noticed, if you did the same thing. The first time I played the first level, you get introduced to the paint bucket pushing stuff. So you are on little scaffolding. The first ones in front of you are just 2 paint buckets just on the edge of the scaffolding. You go press triangle on them. The next one, you can't progress unless you push them down.
Yes.
Which, naturally, I didn't even think about that because I was like, triangle button, push that shit.
Well, then
replaying it, I was like, oh, you have to progress.
They give you the initial hit of dopamine with the first bucket. You're like, oh fuck, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then you see 4.
And you're just like, I'm going to knock all of these down. I never even
knowing you have to.
It never even crossed my mind that it was a door blocking you to make sure you understood the mechanic, because the mechanic was inherently fun.
Yeah. Even
though, like, I said it in a video that no longer exists because things don't work.
We streamed our first impressions of it, and it just didn't fucking save it.
But the first thing you do, which you already talked about, the great cat animations, the interactions. I can't think of a game that, especially this early on, the gameplay was I walked up to a thing and pressed the interact prompt, and then I was enthralled.
Yes.
I was not gaming.
Yeah.
but I was
You were
I was
experiencing.
gaming. I was in the zone. I think the one, like, other than like the auto jump, the one thing is like the run. Sometimes you can use it in an environment that doesn't feel like it's designed for it.
Needs the fucking Pokemon pop up of like,
you can run,
not
or
right
you
now,
cannot
motherfucker.
run. But even then, when you fucking look at videos of cats running and fucking doing wall runs and shit, you're like, it should be a little unwieldy.
Yeah,
they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They're sliding a little bit. They got ice on their paws.
Yeah, there was never kitten mittens.
No kid.
0 out of 10.
You don't get little booties.
No. Yeah. We already talked about the fucking visuals. We can go into more. Like, the lore is immediately interesting. It makes you ask questions.
The threat of that game is so interesting. And just unique. It's like the bacteria that evolved into...
Well, I wouldn't say it's unique.
It's just
like
cool.
Any part of them, of what they're doing is unique. It's a perfect conglomeration.
Yes.
Because there's totally been fucking... The games that I looked at in terms of just like storytelling that are very similar and must have been inspirations for this game are fucking... I gotta scroll and find it because I'm always gonna forget like one of them.
You have such insane notes.
Oh, same as the Pray for the Gods one. I went hard.
Yeah.
The only difference is this one I went hard from the beginning.
Yeah, I take notes like if I'm annotating a book. I jot things down. You write paragraphs.
Every time I have a thought, I try to find an appropriate place to organize it, and I write it down.
Yeah.
So some of the examples, and you can kind of support me if I forget one. Definitely Half-Life. Half-Life 2 especially.
100%
City 7. I think it's City 17 is the specific.
So. Yeah.
The fucking walled City 99. Like, and
Very
then
Half-Life.
the visual design. The Surge. I don't know if you know enough.
Not
that is also the same plot.
Oh yeah.
Is we are trying to get rid of pollution by making it's nano machines instead. I'm pretty sure that they are going to put in the environment or in space to eat up all the space debris.
Yeah.
And they're going to release it on the planet as well to fix that. The only difference is that is like charismatic fucking like Mark Zuckerberg CEO guy is trying to save the world with his god complex. Whereas this one puts way less of an emphasis on the humans as characters and more as humans as history.
Yeah.
And that's
the soft ones, as they call them.
The soft ones. Stuff like that. Like, all that, everything you're doing early on, when we compared it to, like, Nier Automata, it is impactful and meaningful. The way they dress, the way they act and behave, the opinions they have, the emotions they're doing, they're emulating things they've seen before. There's almost a fucking, like, religious adherence, a reverence. The fucking... It's great in two ways. Of, the low-light plants are really cool because you see that and you're like, oh, environmental disaster forced them to do this. They had to do this to survive. But it's also a beautiful thing of, like, humans made it easier for life that wasn't them to live.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole meaning of a lot of the game. Is that it has a very positive, a weirdly positive note of like, yes, human destruction, but also human like perseverance and fostering of the future. Life. Yeah. And that there is more to life than just us. And it's very cool. The other one was FF7.
Yeah.
And then in more gameplay, like pacing terms, Limbo and Inside.
Yeah.
Sorry, Outside. This is a quibble that I forgot because it's so weird. No photo mode.
It feels like the game that was most created to have a photo mode.
I went out of my way to set up shots and take photos, which I would have appreciated a really good photo mode.
It's so weird that it doesn't have one.
Yeah, at first I thought, like, the game looks really good. Maybe it's like a PS5 exclusive thing, but I couldn't find a menu.
It doesn't have it.
I haven't looked it up to see...
Like, they might patch it in. They might have acknowledged it.
Or if there is, and I'm just crazy. I tried all the, like, clicking both sticks. I tried all the buttons.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there's none. I would have really appreciated one. Yeah. We can actually get into more of, like, with the City 17 shit. Resident Evil.
Do you like meat landscapes?
Do you like Lab? Do you like the visual progression
Pristine
of a
lab?
fucking Resident Evil game?
There's no castle.
It is Resident Evil 3. It is city, gross, tentacly, hive city, lab. Like,
it's wonderful.
Fuck, man.
The Zerks are the best part of this game. I wish
Zerks
they weren't gone after the second act.
Yeah, but it fits.
Yeah.
If they weren't gone, it would be weirder. They'd have to change a lot more to have them still be in it. They should have just replaced them with something more interesting or equally compelling.
I just wanted it to keep fucking going up, like escalating.
Yes,
what
it
the
feels
Zerks
like it
can become. And everything.
It feels like it fizzles out, but it also feels appropriate because it's like,
It's a good
only the
climax
low
to
class
it.
people have to fucking deal with that.
Yeah.
So we can get into like the visual differences and the storytelling arc without even just talking about dialogue or plot.
How about color?
Like color of Resident Evil, the first stuff, and when you replay the game, you understand everything about the game way better.
Yeah.
As I was taking notes and just playing it and paying attention, you'll get it. Replaying it, you get a better appreciation for like, oh shit, the first level totally is like the cusp of both worlds.
Yeah.
It still makes you feel like you're underground and in a weird post-apocalypse. Confined.
Yes.
And then you fall into the truly locked up place. And then at the end you return, but you've gone past. It is fully open. It is fully nature. So you start in a confined but nature overtaking man's creations.
Yeah.
Concrete and pipes with rust and greenery. Stuff you've seen before in Nier Automata, near post-apocalypse stuff.
Yeah.
Nature reclaiming society.
Yeah, nature reclamation. Then you get to the slums. And from there, it is basically fucking class war.
Yeah.
Like, imagery scaled up to 10. But with a tilt of, like, the lore informing, like... the neon has a purpose.
Yep.
Like, the neon lights are a fucking... The neon lights as a fucking method of... Fuck you, man. You're not gonna tell me I'm wasting your fucking energy for your fucking parties and your fucking corporate boardrooms having pristine, nice lighting. I'm gonna fucking light up my house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
the
beautiful
first
neons.
robots strung up lights all over their house.
And then everybody
protest.
Echoed it to the point where they couldn't stop them.
The Neko Corp.
And then back to, which is that's the perfect
Genius.
amalgamation. So that Neko cat, Eco.
Yep.
Perfect. Corporation. It's fucking perfect.
It's a very good name.
I'm glad it wasn't just a background element and they just say it a few times because I would be afraid people would miss that.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking fun and perfect.
Yes.
So the slums and then Resident Evil, which is the outer slums of like, this is why the people in the slums have like no mobility and they're living shit lives.
Completely trapped by webs of meat.
Yeah.
Like, fucked up.
Organic matter that is trying to decompose and eat everything. Because it is an evolved bacteria that was meant to get rid of pollution. And I really like... So you hear the plague before you see the Zerks, or before you understand what the Zerks are at least.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, that must be related. And then to find out that they weren't even a problem for humans. Humans were long gone by the time they evolved to the point where they are now dangerous to robots.
Yeah. And the first time you see Zerks, they're eating garbage.
Yeah.
The first thing you see.
And it's a great twist, or like twist on expectations, because you just see a garbage bag rummaging. And I was like, oh, your buddy's going to be in there.
Yeah.
Little robot's going to fly. No.
What the fuck is that little
ball? They're adorable. Oh, that's another Half-Life. Those are head crabs.
They look very... I believe that was like the first thing I said when we
they're
played
little
it.
plotty fucking plooby head crabs. They're great. And, the visual design and the progression as you go is the best example of, like, visual storytelling, and you don't even need dialogue.
Yes. And there are multiple points in the game where you can look down and you see...
all of the districts
because it is vertical. It is like closer to the top. It's just a caste system.
Yep. Gives you a great like sense of scale.
And then beyond the environments, the robots are a perfect example of that too.
How their cultural, their personalities change as you
the
raise.
Slums. The reverence they have for human culture is to the point where detergent to clean your cloth clothing.
Yes.
That is completely unnecessary. Is a currency. That's like a fucking premium thing.
Oh yeah.
Is that there is a robot that has a fucking laundromat because they care about maintaining the culture.
Yep.
Before them, and they have they're called the Companions, which is adorable.
Yes. It's a good name.
It's a great name, especially for playing a pet, which would normally be considered a companion.
Yes.
And then so the way I described it when we were first talking about it was that even without the dialogue, but this is also a more dialogue thing of like and this is where we get into the more potentially contentious topic, not between us because we kind of agree on it, but of whether Midtown being full of shitty fucking yuppies is intentional or they're poorly written.
Yeah.
Because these slums, in terms of visual design and personality, they have the most heart and they live the shittiest lives.
Yes.
And then Midtown, they don't have heart. They have quote-unquote personality. They're very modern people.
Indie writing?
Yeah. Modern indie writing and modern real people. Like Instagram fucking influencer shit.
Very shallow.
Very shallow. Way more about appearances and fucking bling and
that grind
and
that
fucking body
life.
mods. Like if they could have the fucking spacers, the earlobe like spacers, whatever gauges, they'd have those. But like you mentioned before, they have the fucking
their head designs are much more variable. And,
body almost like cyberpunk, like playing Deus Ex and seeing the guys that have the chromed out fucking gold arms. It's a statement that's part of their personality, which is great in terms of the robots are totally fucking human at this point. Like they have personal individual tastes and beliefs in terms of music. They also, another game that I totally forgot to make a note of, it's also Better Human or Detroit Become Human.
Yep.
Because a big part of that game is them becoming human as an expression of that being they can create on their own. And one of the first memories you get in the game is literally a mural painted by a companion.
Yep.
That is like, oh, they literally say
they
like
figured it out.
When they started, they were clearly copying, but now they are creating.
They've evolved beyond that.
Yeah. Which is like, okay, they're humans, established. They are people you should care about.
Yeah.
And then for the Midtown people to be the later people that I feel like you're still supposed to care about to some degree, but they are so vapid and empty, like real people.
Yeah.
That I dislike them. Like I don't like them.
Yeah.
Despite the individuality being apparent, they also feel vapid and meaningless. And it's really depending on whether that specific sentence is intentional or not.
I feel like it must be.
For how well crafted visually and how it all works and makes sense, especially with the conclusion, it's gotta be.
It has to be. Yeah.
And then ending with the clean Resident Evil lab, the fucking inside boardrooms and shit of these. These are robots.
Yes.
They are orange. They are fucking orange. Orange must be like a service/trainer thing because Aldo Zero, the orange.
Yeah.
Like the maybe it's just construction.
High vis.
Construction, high vis. Fucking what's it called? Efficiency overall.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't have names anymore.
No.
They have
designations.
Cleaner bot number.
Yeah.
And they are like feeding you fucking generic sentences that were programmed into them.
Yeah.
They are completely, and it's sad. They are like trapped in their own hell.
Yep.
Because they can't interact. They can't be quote unquote infected with logic, in a way that the others have had a chance to. They have been running these loops in these empty fucking rooms forever. Yeah. And that's one thing where I feel like visual design storytelling is perfect. On the other hand, it feels weirdly. So this is a thing I thought of as a minor complaint, but also thought of a way to fix it, which is probably just correct, is that those places are weirdly clean for a dirty plague that killed all humans.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd be a little more disheveled, but there are a shit ton of cleaner bots there.
Yeah.
So you could totally see turning a corner and being like, oh, they fucking cruelly... Like, you could get some real metal art of, like, those cute cleaner bots dumping bodies into the slums to be eaten by the Zergs. and then cleaning and making everything pristine again. But yeah, just like you get a perfect. You could see screenshots of each of the chapters, and you would understand the arc of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. We already talked about the animation, world and lore is great. I wrote down the list of just things, just concepts on their own that are all interesting things. And this is kind of spoiler, kind of not, in terms of like you could see these and it would give you a deeper appreciation and know what to look out for. I kind of tried to keep them in order. The plants. Really interesting. The fact that there are plants underground, then you learn the low light stuff, you get the memories. The language of the bots being one of the first things you see, the chapter name being written in the language, and then the fucking actual English. And then you get more development on that of like, there was clearly a day where all of the robots
started using
learned a language and made it their own. And that's really cool. The fucking diploma you can get that says Walled City 99 University.
Yep. Super early.
And you're like, what's the
going
fuck?
on? Down to the door that's right next to the starting point, having text on it that's like, oh, what the fuck is this game about?
Yeah. And then something that's way later, in terms of main plot of like B12, who we've not even talked about at all in anything.
That's a video on its own.
It's hard not to talk about him without spoilers. So that's a great companion character.
Wonderful character.
But in the flat, the fucking like coffin, the cryo coffin thing, being like, oh, that's clearly like, I know what that is without needing to know.
Oh, I played Soma.
And then you fucking go further and you're like, that's what it was. The robot behavior and like their faces are great.
Oh, all their reactions are wonderful. The hearts and like the nervous sweating.
And the fact that there's not too many, like they very clearly still don't have much.
There's like 4 or 5.
There's no like fluidity to them.
Yeah.
They are either one or the other.
They are
extremes.
Yeah.
The fucking implications that the robots have evolved to the point of eating food.
Yes.
Like that is...
Regardless of whether or not they need it.
Yeah, a level of dedication, a ritual of like, that's how much of real food. Not like oil, like you see in tons of other stuff. Literally choosing to eat human food.
Yep.
Making art, we talked about that. Calling the outside world a myth.
The barber shop. Building on
the barbershop is great.
Taking off their heads and fucking shining them.
Yeah.
And
that's also great for fucking Midtown. Because that's still vapid.
Yeah.
Like, that's not as that does not feel as ritualistic and reverent as the original, or as the slum parts, but it's closer.
Yes.
Because you see, like, the barbershop mentality of, like, we get around, we hang out, we talk, we gather. The calling them outsiders is a great example because they clearly don't know what that word means.
Yes.
Because their interpretation is, there's the outside, I want to go there, I am an outsider.
Yeah.
Which is the complete opposite of what that would actually be, which would be, you are an outsider as someone that came from the
little
outside.
outsider.
Yeah. But to you, to them, you are an outsider because you share their goal.
The desire.
Not because where you came from. That doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
And that's just a really powerful piece of writing. Just a single word. And their logo is adorable.
Oh, their logo's great.
Their logo feels like the expression they'd have when they'd see the outside.
Yep.
Like they're, the fucking fake sky being immediately apparent. It's one of the first things we pointed out.
It's like better Elden Ring.
Yeah. The fact that you look up and you're like, oh, I'm underground.
Yep.
Like,
rings
one
of
the first things you see, you're like, that is an unnatural but really beautiful thing.
Yep.
And then when you get the fucking opening of the top.
The most gorgeous shit.
Oh.
Just the light pouring
I stood there that whole time.
Oh, yeah. How can you not?
It's great. It's great. And the, like, acceptance of their fate of, like, being locked down there while also not giving up.
Yeah.
Like, they've given up of, like, going outside. They just don't think it's real. It's literally the frog in the well.
Yes.
But they're not mad. Like, they're the people that want to get outside. They're not like, I want to break out. I hate being here. it's like I want to see more. I want to explore.
Be closer to humans.
I
want to see where they
I want to
from.
see that it's real.
Yeah.
That these pictures and
I love
all this
the
other
detail
culture is
of
real.
the earlier robots being programmed with the same knowledge of humans, whereas the later models were never programmed to know that there is an outside and that it is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's very neat. So
that
having conversations
because
with
it is
robots,
straight up like the older generation.
they know, and now
like a generational passing of the torch, like verbal, fucking, what's it called? Verbal storytelling and stuff. And you can also, and the world is perfectly designed and like, you can fill in the gaps. They give you enough detail, you can fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Because you can also interpret. You can go a little deeper and go, that generational divide was probably created by the time where they didn't have a language.
Yeah.
The however many years where they couldn't communicate in a way where they could tell that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the older generation robots probably taken out by the Zerks or stopped functioning. And you can go that far. I think one of the greatest examples of that, we talked about the Zerks, and we kind of went through the biological humans trying to do something better, the same as the plants. Whereas I feel like during the later parts of the game, it becomes more of a generic, like, humans are the bad guys. But I feel like that kind of clashes with the earlier stuff, which had a more positive light to it. But then it comes back around to be very positive. The Midtown stuff is really the dip of that.
Yeah.
But one of the most mysterious and interesting things is the October 11th calendars.
Yes.
Every calendar says October 11th.
I wonder if that's just when their language was developed. Like, that was the day.
But I wouldn't think they would change it. I would think that has to be the last human day.
Perhaps.
Because to me, that's got to be... Because the calendar's like red.
Yes.
Or like orange-red.
Yeah.
And if it was the language, I don't feel like they... If they marked it or cared about it themselves, they'd have a holiday or they'd be trying to...
Yeah.
It would... You probably have a sequence where you are going through Midtown and there's a party because it's the day.
Yeah.
Or something. But it feels like a background thing that's like, this is how you know when humans were fucked because they didn't even care about what day it was anymore.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't on October 11th. It was probably, that was just the last day that was good. Where they were like comfortable enough where they could care about that shit. The soft ones you mentioned before, that's just cute. That's just good shit. The neon light and the rainbow lamps, that stuff's fucking great. There's tons of fucking details and bits of lore everywhere. That isn't just collectibles. The collectibles are very good. They are the core of those big plot dumps for being like better than Metroid Prime.
You want to say that louder?
Better than Metroid Prime in every way.
Fuck Metroid Prime!
The memories are the scans, even to the point of like being like 2-3 sentences maybe, and there's like 5 of them, or like 5 clumps of like 2 or 3 sentences as like you scroll text boxes. Every bit of it matters and is really good, and you don't even need it. It's just extra.
It's just a great thing on top.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's also like tons of fun jokes. The verticality is really nice. Verticality. Yeah, but let's get to the real shit. It is the best part and the worst part of the game. Chapter 4 is the best part of the game.
It ruins the rest of the game.
It really
with
puts
how
a damper.
good it is.
Yeah. I'm just gonna read you my note, which is just a fucking string of consciousness. I didn't edit these much.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 is the best. It's a little exploratory playground like a Mario sandbox level with quests, collectibles, tons of NPCs and detail, plus the super smart use of the Outsider logo to mark where you need to go is a good marker before you even know what it is. And for me, this is outside of the note, as soon as I walked into Momo's apartment, I was like,
There it is.
That! Because I'd done like all of those before progressing the main plot. And then you connect it yourself. You don't need to be told the thing. You don't need to be exposited to.
Yes.
Now back to the note. The fun of toppling stuff and playing around with mechanics is at its best in Chapter 4, as well as the world building and setting up the foundation of what's to come.
Yeah.
The problem is, nothing is ever like that again.
Midtown is the only one that gets close, but it's just nowhere near as
And here's the sequel note I came back to after beating the game. Everything in Chapter 4 serves a purpose, whereas later chapters, like 9 and 10, feel like hollow imitations that weren't given nearly as much time and love. Ant Village and Midtown. Ant Village feels appropriately low-tech and the other side of the equation.
Yes.
Whereas it's clearly supposed to be that sewers, Ant Village, Midtown. It's supposed to be that bam, bam, bam. Very different things. And they do that, but they don't feel small enough that they're intentionally small. Because Ant Village still has a side quest.
Yeah.
But it has
Yes.
and it's not as interesting.
No.
It's just collect 3 things
It's
that
simple.
are
I
in
do
the
like
different,
that you can see where you need to go from where
it's
you
very
get
because
the
you're
quest.
collecting flowers
Yeah.
and it's differently colored trees, which you could also go and assume like, oh, it was probably like they took different plants they liked and planted them here in this fucking garbage sewage place that they've created this nice little ecological zone.
Really appreciate it if Ant Village was not in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's a very fun visual place to just have in that
I
trailer.
don't remember it looking like a village. I just remember the big tree.
It was a tree with like the structures around it.
Yeah. I remember looking at that and going like, boss fight tree.
Whoa.
Sometimes Resident Evil, sometimes cute cyberpunk cat game. Wish it was a little more Resident Evil. Alan Wake, though.
Whoa, the Alan Wake cat
Game has combat.
beat Alan Wake 2 to the punch.
Game has fucking combat.
It was not.
Well, so as soon as I started, I was like, there has to be combat in this game.
I should have talked about this with the graphics and glitch stuff. The popping. There is popping.
I don't know if I noticed
There's a decent amount of popping. When you're going faster, even on PS5 Chapter 4, when you were going faster, there's popping. And sometimes it'll do that thing you were talking about with Witcher 3 and Horizon, where
the models like reset.
but it's not the models. The camera changes, and the background hasn't loaded yet. So it is 1 or 2 frames of complete whiteness with my cat there.
Huh.
Like, that was in the control room at the very end on the PS5. That happened. Like, every camera transition.
No, it's just because that
there's
area
1 or
is
2
white.
frames. Yeah.
I didn't notice any of that.
Yeah.
But,
And of course, for PS5, it was kind of a sliding scale, because I'm sure it's way worse on PS4 if I was playing the way I was playing on PS5.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do the speedrun from the first. And the weird stuttery run animation. The run animation looking bad is weird. Because I noticed, that was one of the first things I said about the animation, was that
the walking is immaculate.
The walk is beautiful, and the run looks
little more
weird.
stuttery.
And then when you play it on the PS5, which generally runs better, it's even more stuttery looking.
Yeah.
Which, when you're running from the back, it's fine. Whenever you're running for the sides, very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some character clipping and stuff, but it's not a big deal. But to fucking get on the other side, well, I guess we do the combat.
Yeah, I expected there to be combat in that game, and then when it was, I was like, I couldn't have expected this.
Yeah. Well, because you'd expect it to be cat combat.
Yeah.
No, it's B12. That's B12 combat.
Yeah.
Because the combat is the climax of the Zerk arc, pretty much, and it's perfect.
Yes.
It is a perfect climax of B12, the cat, the Zerks, the storytelling. Like, you might as well be shot through a fucking pneumatic tube into the rest of the world from that.
Yeah.
It feels like you are building and then you fucking go.
Yeah.
And then it's Ant Village, Midtown, jail, end of the game.
The natural life cycle of a cat. You know.
Of course, jail. So, combat's really cool. It's really cool that it's there. Another thing they didn't need to go off on. It feels like you get the power back in a way that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I never thought the Zerks were a threat, but they're fun.
Yes.
Like, they're
fun to
perfectly
play around.
balanced. Of, like, they're not dangerous, really, in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
But to the point where, like, the sewers, I don't know if you did it, there's the fucking trophy for not killing any Zerks in the sewers. And that's the first thing. The first run of the sewers I did was no combat. And that was a totally different and still fun thing that clearly was still designed to be possible. But still, You want to be able to go guns blazing.
Oh yeah. Fucking popping all of the little egg sacs at once, and then just
killing waves of them.
Yeah.
It's great. It feels great.
It feels very empowering. It's the fucking like a rolling cabin sequence in like RE4.
Yep.
But so talked about the gameplay. We talked about the Zergs. We talked about there being combat. Let's talk about what they replaced the combat with. In chapter 10 and 11.
My favorite mechanic in any video game, stealth that doesn't work very
vision
well.
Vision cones straight out of...
Wow.
Like...
You go from having a vision cone to having vision cones put on you.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fucked up that it is... The first thing I thought of was like, oh, this is like Metal Gear Solid VR missions quality stealth.
Yeah.
Like, it's not...
It's not the greatest.
Good.
It's not very refined.
And then when I talk about character clipping... Boy, that is 90% of the glitches in that game.
Yeah.
I have a clip I need to show you.
Whew.
I'll describe it.
Can you just boot it up right now?
Sure.
So I can just watch it?
It is... You kind of walk through it.
I'll narrate it.
But it is very fucking archaic stealth.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it. I'm just talking about review sense. Not the video.
No, I get what you mean.
You'll see the video, and it'll be a thing we talked about that I found a perfect fucking proof of.
Awesome.
So it's just the little drones have vision cones, and they follow you.
And their idea is cool. That they are cops that have been running forever because they, just like the cleaner bots at the end, I deleted it.
You deleted it?
Oh, no, it's on the PS5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that was the last thing I did. So, the first Sentinel you have to stealth past is patrolling, and it's very simple MGS1 patrol routes.
Just horizontal line.
Of left, right, turn around, 180, 180, 180. So let's say you're walking down a hallway that's 10 feet, and you need to go to 8 feet left for me to be able to pass you and get out of your vision cone. What if you only walked 4 feet and then stopped and turned around and then walked 4 feet back and stopped and turned around?
That would be pretty funny.
Because we talked about this before I had replayed it on the PS5, because I asked you if you had the same issue. That
they just break their routes.
Sentinels break their routes.
Yep.
And I also had a few times, I don't have clips of it, but they fucking straight cheat.
Yeah.
They will just 180 or look through walls. You'll get that green, yellowish light on you.
Yep.
Which there's a trophy to never be spotted by sentinels, which includes any yellow at all.
Any caution.
Anything that isn't just them being normal.
Yep.
If they turn their head, you fucked up.
Yep.
That shit is infuriating.
It's pretty irritating. It doesn't help that you're supposed to hide in little cardboard boxes as a little kitty. Sometimes their vision just sees you through the boxes.
And sometimes
they kill you instantly.
It takes a really long time for him to like get into his canned animation of getting into the box.
Yep.
Or you get out of the box when you're not in the blue, and then it just goes, Rant! Turn around 270 degrees. Pretty sure I heard a cat. It made me question, like, is there audio?
Can the controller hear me?
Do they care?
Because they can hear you meow.
That stuff, if they really should have gone the other way, because the Zerk stuff early on is perfect, because it is not stealth, but it is a lot of the same ideas of luring and that kind of thing, of like last known position.
Moving around the rosy shit.
Yeah. But you are always doing something.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do in platformers and in stealth, it's the reason a lot of people don't like stealth and slower platformers, is not be doing something. Patience should never be a gameplay mechanic. I will take a hardline stance on that.
Yeah.
The only reason it would be appropriate is if story. Like, waiting is part of the story.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't call that a gameplay mechanic. I would say that is story. That is a thing you have decided to do.
You have to play judgment and wait for your quest to be
You gotta
active.
wait to be called.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some other, like, canned animations. You can see some snap in place
The
stuff.
thing
It's mainly the very first. It's mainly whenever your cat is in a cutscene, you aren't controlling.
The first one I noticed is right at the beginning when after
Yeah,
it's done
that's
raining,
the most egregious.
all the cats come down and they jump down into like the lower section.
They're very
of the
clearly
basin.
doing the animation you do when you jump down a certain amount.
But when you can
But
see
when
it
you
pulled
see it,
out,
yeah,
it's very noticeable that it does not look great.
Like they slide into place and kind of like jitter. It's obvious.
Yeah. So while the Sentinels and the Stealth fit in terms of the story narrative, pacing and arc, it's not nearly. It is a fucking big come off when you're coming off of fucking the combat.
Yeah.
And the climax of the Zergs.
Yep.
Because the climax of the Sentinels is a cutscene where you run away.
Yep.
Like that's basically it. That chapter very much feels like an Uncharted game. Like Midtown at 11 very much feel like Uncharted 4.
And chases.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Where all of a sudden they can't shoot for shit.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, of like canned animations and stuff, the interactions and stuff with the world you do really immerse you, which makes it good that the canned animation problem is the biggest at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because then you never think about it again. Like I think we already talked about like the piano keys, everything you can do.
Briefly.
Yeah.
Everything you think you can do as a cat. You want to knock a flower plant off onto a sleeping robot? Do it.
Nuzzle. Nuzzle button.
A trophy to nuzzle.
Meow button.
Meow button.
Sleeping.
Scratching
is
using
great.
the scratching mechanic to scratch doors that robots will then let you in.
And to scratch fucking those snap up curtains.
The snap up blinds. They do that twice. Chapter 4.
To make fucking Dark Souls shortcuts.
Yeah. That perfectly frame the next place you have to go in a sequence of side quests. It's wonderful. That game is designed so well.
Chapter 4 is where it's at. It's fucking.
If you play any part of Stray, just play Chapter 4, please.
Yeah. Pretty much everything you could, like you think could work, does. Like messing with a TV remote, even
fucking with people playing mahjong and then watching them pick up the board and then doing it again.
Yeah.
And
then
the
talking to them.
Leads that
and then
jump
talking to them, and they have the best dialogue in the game.
And that jump leads to a shortcut, and it also leads to the flower quest in Ant Village.
Yeah,
like you have.
I think
to
my
do it.
biggest issue with Ant Village is on replay. I knew where the flowers were.
You couldn't pick them up.
You can't pick them up.
You have to wait for B12 to stop having his crisis.
Yeah, which is appropriate, but man.
Yeah.
And then in terms of story, like the overarching stuff is perfect as a thematic narrative. But the fact that the characters kind of just get sidelined to be replaced by nobody and nothing that matters, very odd.
Momo is simple, but
likable.
He
it's
serves
a
a
positive
really good function.
friend.
He has
character.
depth in that he's fucking depressed that he didn't go with his friends.
Yeah.
Doc, it has great depth immediately with his son.
And you get the Nier Automata, they're forming familial units.
Yes.
Like they are beyond just emotions.
Yeah. And Balthazar is very simple. He has like 5 lines, but his introduction is really good.
His visual is very cool.
You get what he's about. But then Clementine, she just is there.
Clementine feels like she should have just been Momo.
Mm-hmm.
Like the believer, the shonen main character.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get everything done even though people don't believe in me.
That you have the extended section with her where you can't understand her and you still have to communicate.
It's way more compelling.
Good.
I feel like she has more dialogue there where you can't understand her than when you can.
Yeah, but she's just very flat. Very flat.
Along with the combat disappearing, the flashlight is pointless. Apart from the first time they have you use it.
It is the most insane flashlight in a video game.
Yeah.
That fucking thing.
It's the ghost from Destiny.
Yeah. Yes. It's so fucking bright that it dims the rest of the screen.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And it's really cool that in terms of the first time you do it as like setup and payoff, you get a flashlight and you're like, oh, there are going to be dark spots.
Yeah.
That's not the reason the flashlight's in
No.
The flashlight's in the game so that you go, oh, there's a flashlight. And then you go, oh shit,
there's a purple flashlight?
That's my combat.
Fuck.
It's Alan Wake. Yeah, music's great. Perfectly blends the broken technological world and the chill / mysterious / creepy atmosphere. Yeah. The aesthetic is entirely that, like creepy and comfy.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, that's
all I can really think about.
Yeah.
Besides just like literally point by point.
The ending is great.
My notes.
The ending is the final visual fucking thing of like nature.
Yes.
Other life, birds, like
nature is recovering.
Beautiful. That the world outside and that final opening, the Midgar fucking plane or the panes of Midgar. Yeah. And it just being like this fucking gorgeous blue sky.
Oh, it's so
and then to leave
wonderful.
The door.
It's
and
funny,
it's just perfect.
Both of us had this thought of opening it. Neither of us even thought like, oh, if you open it, the problem is gone. The Zergs
you
are
get rid
dead.
of the Zergs. You equalize everybody, and then because B12 gets in the system, shut down the Sentinels.
Yep.
Like you fix every problem, just naturally in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't go out of your way to do it. Every problem is solved by one.
This
thing.
world was not ready for a cat.
And then, B12 is the plot of this game. He is the perfect like.
He is the studio.
He is yes. He is.
B12.
He is the fucking. He is the everyman that isn't an everyman because it's not your insert to the world. He is a sidekick. It's fucking like FF14, where it's like you're the main character, but really, this guy you're with the whole time is the main character.
Yeah.
And he is a perfect. He brings everything together perfectly. The last human being digitized.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions and going through that.
Oh, he says some depressing shit towards the midpoint of that game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then it is almost a fucking, like, Pathless-esque, like...
Hey, Annapurna.
Religious, or, like, way of living.
Yes.
Like, this is what we believe. And his resolution at the end of the game is very nice.
I wasn't okay when that game ended.
No.
It was
that
my second to last note. I mean, this is the spoiler video. My second to last note is "Rip B12. I'm not okay."
Yeah.
And then my last note is, or maybe not.
Yeah, the character literally saying like to this cat that he's not sure can understand him, being like, "I already made my decision. I am going to sacrifice myself to I see a future that I didn't think we had."
Yeah.
And that's just super fucking... You
It's
get the shades of, like, the best thing about Automata being the fucking ending, Route E.
Yeah.
Like, that compelling, propulsive positivity. And, like, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. A light in the dark, like, there is positivity.
And I love that the final resting point is next to him.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Seeing the blue sky.
To see the blue sky be pulled in. To see... That is his fucking hero's grave.
Mm-hmm.
Of, like... perfectly fucking framed to what he accomplished.
I almost wish you could take him with you.
Yeah.
In the section where you can put him in your mouth.
Yeah.
But
I wish you could have taken him outside.
Yeah.
And like then like cut to like a cottage like he was talking about. And get your little thing.
You have him in his little resting point.
I'm gonna cry thinking about that.
Yeah, he is a great example of like character development, but also showing you a very quick version of like what we were talking about with the robots becoming human. Is that he starts and he is on a fucking screen that you're typing to a keyboard and he's like, need body to upload.
Yep.
And then it's like...
The first thing you see is the neon sign that just says help.
Yeah.
And you meow and it highlights all the neon to guide you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That I think the
Great
last gripe of fucking Midtown is that it feels like a fucking random adventure game.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like it could be a Monkey Island, like, point and click, getting item, do thing, like...
Very much so.
Whereas
like
the immersive
a shitty King's Quest.
Yeah, whereas the immersive sim stuff in Chapter 4 was very immersive.
Yeah, it all ties very well.
And it was all a perfect loop.
Yes.
You were not like, oh, do I need an item then? You were like, okay, I'm going here, I'm doing this, I got this thing here. It gave me a hint to go here. I'm showing these items to people, and they're telling me, they're giving me hints.
Did you the guys with the boombox in Midtown? Did you ever destroy the cameras first and then talk to them?
Yeah.
I love how if you talk to them first, they're like, "Hey, if you help us out, we'll help you out." But if you
break the cameras first, he's like,
"Hey, like, don't steal shit. We appreciate what you did,
you can have it, but like don't just try to.
I'm cool with you taking it, but don't
do this to anyone else, okay?
Yeah. B12 is great in terms of character, but that is a great way to make it more of a video game.
Yep.
You have a fucking inventory, cat backpack, cat badges, cat bucket. We talked about triangle and square.
The 3 B's of cats.
Very smart. Yeah, of course.
Backpack, bucket, badge.
The fucking backpack UI is almost like rig tier of like Dead Space.
That's what I was thinking of earlier. It has the pop-up
UI. When it's hacking, it's the fucking beautiful purple gears turning. When you're picking up items, when he's processing and translating, it's the fucking little thought bubbles that are spinning like a loading icon. It's so fucking... What an excellent game.
Great.
The collectible tracking and hints... really good. That's something that I just appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, everyone should appreciate it. But that's something that's usually a pet peeve for me. And then also, it's very good about... so, like, let's say you play 10 chapters. And you missed a collectible in chapter 4. You can load up chapter 4, and it saves everything you've gotten on that save file.
Wonderful.
Yeah. You keep all the collectible progress when you save and everything. Yeah, other than, like, the pacing of and like creativity feeling like it kind of dries up in chapter 10, 11. It's really good. And then the only other issue being like we both found it very easy to accidentally progress out of chapters when you still intended to find a collectible because you don't know when it's going to end, so you don't know where, and you can't backtrack at all.
There are multiple
except for
points.
The one time where you return to
chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
Yeah, after 5.
Because they were like, chapter 4 is really good. And it's weird, because chapter 4 was so good, chapter 6 was basically nothing, because I'd already done everything that they needed me to do in chapter 6 in chapter 4.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but makes it kind of flaccid. Yeah.
Alright.
I think that's...
Rescore it.
Yeah, it's
consistent.
The nightclub being the least interesting music.
It's
that's a perfect thing of like...
That guy has the dragon head.
It's true. That's the perfect like culmination of like... The nightclub is like a perfect thing of like... That's the dip. That's the biggest dip in the game. Because, one, it has a super stupidly easily missable collectible in the random elevator.
The like dumb waiter thing.
That I found first, and I was like, oh, this is so fucking stupidly hidden that it
must be.
So I talked to every NPC, not a single one talks about it, not even the bartender.
Yeah.
And then I progressed the other way, because I was like, oh, that's so weird. That must be a secret to progress. And the other way is going to be the collectible, because every game needs the rig. Fucking
every game needs the Dead Space 2 line.
Yeah. But, yeah, and then I had to play all of Chapter 10 again to get that one memory.
We both missed a memory in that chapter, and it was not the same one.
Yeah, and then PS5, I missed that memory even though I got it. The fucking police one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Stray's pretty fucking good, and you should play it.
Yeah, I just kind of got to read
Totally
through.
worth it.
It's no Untitled Goose Game.
No,
and
it's...
Then, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Very good.
Another Annapurna banger.
Yeah.
Basically. Play the Pathless.
Yes.
Play Stray. Play Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
I'm about to.
Yeah. Losing B12 in Chapter 11 really makes you appreciate him so that they can fucking stab you in the gut.
And they can murder your ass.
And then have a really fucking positive ending in all ways. Like, B12 could still be there.
Yeah.
You could still be there. And having like Walled City 99 and stuff, like you could very easily have sequels in that same universe.
Oh my god.
That are totally... You could have humans that are alive.
Things that are humans.
Yeah. You could have humans be in other things. You could have ones that are completely overrun with different biological life.
Yeah.
That is not negative. I got major fucking Tokyo Jungle vibes.
Yeah.
Especially from the end. Even like to the weird like save humanity plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully... I mean, this game is fucking very, very good.
Very good.
I really wish these developers luck. And
hope
we can see more from them.
More cats, please.
Yeah.
More cats.
Yeah.
Maybe even a dog or two.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, I guess this can be a little addendum, because this is more for me and weird people like me. The trophy list is a really great example of like how to make that.
Yeah.
because it just makes you experience everything you want to do. But then, weirdly enough,
there are
just like the game,
they drop off.
You get like 90% of them, the missable ones, like early.
Yeah.
And then there's like scratch the record.
There's a couple trophies in Chapter 4.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
But yeah, they really didn't need to try a tenth as hard as they did
to
make this fucking game. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is about an hour long.
Yeah.
How fun.
It's Pog.
Meow?
Yeah.